Hale Media Group presents Go Blue Hoops, where Michigan basketball's past, present, and future all come together in one show. Hosted by former Wolverine great, 10-year NBA veteran, and longtime ESPN and NBC college basketball analyst Tim McCormick. Each episode goes beyond the box scores, from championship memories and recruiting stories to sharp breakdowns of the season ahead. Insight, legacy. Michigan basketball. This is Go Blue Hoops.
Welcome, everybody, to the Go Blue Hoops podcast, episode number 13. What a week. My name's Tim McCormick, and I am your host, and I'm elated to share with you how great this basketball team has been, how entertaining, how hard they play. This is a team that we can all be so proud of. 19-1. Tying the greatest start in Michigan basketball history. On today's podcast, we're going to first talk about the Michigan-Ohio State game. We pre-recorded that right after the Michigan-Ohio State game was completed, and so you can hear my thoughts on what Michigan did that I like so much and the things that need to be improved that I didn't love. And then also, man, we've got an interview that you will love. You know the Dos Equis commercial, the most interesting man in the world? I think that Will Tschetter has some of those same qualities. He's done so much at such a young age. He's got so many unique hobbies, and he's such an important part of this team as a senior sub that's done a great job for Michigan. Makes big plays, great shooter. I'm so impressed with him. And then we are going to break down the Michigan-Nebraska game. What a ball game. Michigan was down 96% of that game. And what do good teams do? They find a way when they don't play their A game. First half, ridiculously bad defense. Second half, physical, tough. So impressive to win that game. And then it sets up later in the week, Michigan State. So we've got it for you. Michigan, Ohio State, Will Tschetter interview, and then we are going to dive right into Michigan, Nebraska, and talk about the game of the year. Thanks so much for being with us, and let's keep this thing moving. So a lot to like about Friday night. The first thing is Trey Burke, one of the best perimeter players ever. As a matter of fact, he is the first guard to ever have his jersey in the rafters. And I find it interesting. Did you know Cazzie Russell is the only player to have his number retired? No one can ever wear Cazzie's number. The others are all honored. And so if somebody came in and wanted to wear them, for instance, Elliot Cadeau is 3, just like Trey Burke. That's why it's all good. I don't know how I feel about it completely. I believe that if you retire somebody's jersey and a high school kid wants to wear it, ask the family, ask the player. I don't think it's a big deal, but iconic is the word that I would use to describe Trey Burke. He made huge plays in his 2 seasons at Michigan. I remember the 3 in the Final Four against Kansas to tie it up and send it to overtime. I remember the rundown block against Michigan State and Keith Appling. I remember the rundown block against Peyton Siva in the Final Four. Is he the best guard ever? Who else would it be? Maybe Gary Grant, maybe Jalen Rose. That's a topic for another day. So let's talk a little bit about what I liked about the Michigan-Ohio State game. The first thing, you can never argue about how hard this Michigan team plays. They bring great energy on the defensive end. Ohio State had 30 points at half. They scored 32 in the second half. That's going to win you a lot of games. 4 steals, 5 blocks, great communication. And Michigan's goal going into every game is to shoot over 50% from the field. I think they were 52, and then hold your opponent at 40 and below. And that's right where Ohio State was. Also, 4 of the last 5 games, I like some of the things that Yaxel Lendeborg is doing. I want this guy to be a leader. I want him to be a passer, a defender, and a driver to the basket. One thing that concerned me about Yaxel is that he was 7 for his last 34 from beyond the arc. That's not good enough. I think he plays his best ball when he gets grimy on defense and gets stops early in the game. He attacks the boards. He gets in transition. He's a solid influence. He's the guy where if you're going into a tough game, you say to yourself, I'm glad that he's on my team. But if he starts out and misses his first 4 threes, that's not acceptable. He's got to be the guy that sets the tone. And on offense, talk to his guys about let's make 5 passes. Let's go side to side. Let's get a post touch and then a kick out. That's the way efficient offense should be running. And Michigan 5 for 23 from 3, right around 20-some%, low 20s. I also thought that Elliot Cadeau was a non-factor for a lot of this game. Ohio State played a lot of zone. That did a good job of taking Elliot out of his flow. He had a hard time driving. First 30 minutes, he had some foul trouble. But when Michigan needed buckets, Elliot made, I thought, the 2 biggest threes of the game. One of them came off a beautiful offensive rebound by Yax, and he kicked it out. That was huge. So what are some of the things I didn't like? Careless turnovers again. Controllable. Better decision-making. Yax had 4. Elliot Cadeau had 4. Mara had 4 turnovers. In a close game, and you're going to have a close game against Nebraska and Michigan State, you've got to cut down those careless passes. What else did I not like? How about this? Michigan missed 10 free throws, okay? With 8:40 to go in the game, it was 50-50, and you've missed 10 free throws. If you make a reasonable amount, you're in a comfortable position. Guys, spend extra time in practice. Concentrate more. Lay in bed at night thinking about your free throws, okay? That's how you get to the point where you start to make better mental pictures of free throws going in, and that's the way you improve your percentage. A couple other observations. I thought Michigan really did a good job wearing down Ohio State the last 6 minutes of the game. Michigan's bench plus 19. I don't think Ohio State is a great team at all, but they are good enough to knock people out. I thought they played with a lot of toughness. Michigan's big guys, once again, plus 12 points in the paint. Feed the bigs, and if you get them the ball inside, they will rebound, they will block shots, they'll defend, they will hustle. I think that Morez Johnson and Adai Mara have to do a better job of being forceful. Don't try to shoot over the defense. Attack angles, attack hips, attack shoulders, and get the ball to the rim. That's when they play their best ball. Also, Michigan's guards have to know that if they want to get open threes, Johnson and Mara, by them scoring inside, are going to collapse the defense. And that is always a great recipe for success. All right. So Michigan is 8-1 in the Big Ten. In those 9 games, they have outscored their opponents by 15 points per game. That is an amazing statistic in league play. It goes to show you how good they are. And they're capable of so much more. I think that we will see Michigan's best basketball coming up very soon. I am extremely pleased to welcome our Michigan man guest today, and that's Will Tschetter, a captain, emotional leader, valuable bench spark, and also an extremely interesting guest for podcast number 13. Will, thanks so much for joining us.
Of course. Excited to chat today.
We're going to have some fun. How does it feel to be a key contributor on this fantastic Michigan basketball season? 18-1 start, tied for the best start in history. You've seen so much in your 4 years. Think about a Sweet 16 and then an 8-win season, then another Sweet 16, and now this. How has your journey been so far, Will?
Man, I feel like I've had the the ultimate holistic experience here at Michigan. I've seen a little bit of it all. Winning seasons, big wins, extremely bad losses. Obviously Big Ten championship season last year, tied for best start, worst finish. So, definitely been around for it all, but, super, super fortunate to be surrounded by the staff that we have, the players we have. It's been a great start. And I should say, like, we're about at halfway through Big Ten season. So it's been a great season so far.
Was there a point, maybe sometime this summer or early practice, when did you first feel like, wow, this team could really be special this year?
Man, I think we knew that we had a lot of great pieces this summer, going through those summer workouts, playing with one another. I feel like the moment that we really thought like the holy crap, like we could be really, really special was obviously in Vegas when we played those 3 really, really elite teams. And especially that Gonzaga game and how that went for us. I think that was kind of like the aha moment, like we can really put this together and be an elite squad when we put our mind to it. So, yeah.
The landscape of college basketball is just so different than it's ever been. And the fact that you're a senior and you didn't leave, you decided to come back. Why did you decide that you wanted to come back for your last year?
Yeah, I mean, my Lord, it was, there's a lot of external noise that goes on during transfer portal time and, in that spring. But ultimately, this place has been so good to me and given me so much. And just knowing from hearing from others, how that transfer portal thing can work out. It's not always the grass is always greener type of ordeal. So just knowing what I had here, great coaching staff I had, great academics, great support system, was just, why would I leave?
When you look at your relationship with Dusty, what have you learned from him? And can you share maybe a story or something that kind of shows the special relationship you guys do have?
Yeah, D May is the ultimate players coach. He really tries to relate to us, on a very human level. It's not that sort of your typical player coach relationship that you might see in other programs. He's very like relationship baseline based and then builds up to the coaching aspect from that. But I think he really just prioritizes knowing each player and what they need individually, how they learn, and from there can kind of, build relationships and build great players. And I think that's what makes him so special from, a player development standpoint and from a relationship standpoint too.
Have you ever seen him just really, just blow a gasket, be so mad, so, yelling at people, or is he always pretty calm?
Man, I think the most upset, man, he does not yell a lot. I think I can probably count on one hand how many times I've seen him lose his cool. I think the most recent was probably at halftime of the Oregon game.
What did he say?
Oh man, I don't, he was really just frustrated with like our effort and just we just kind of like we blew a 10-point lead and I think they were up at half. He might have. I can't remember who it was, but someone threw an Expo whiteboard marker, and that was like the first time in like a couple years that I had seen something thrown in a locker room. I was kind of like, oh wow, like they're really upset. But yeah, he's super, super composed, and does a really good job of keeping he just never gets too high and he never gets too low. When you think things are going super, super well, he's always gonna find things that need to be fixed. And when things are, when you think the world's ending, he's always got a positive twist to something to kind of pull you out of it.
Well, I was at your first practice at Michigan, and I remember it pretty well. And I'm sorry, I thought to myself, I'm not sure how, Will's going to fit in here. Is he a post player? Is he a shooter? Is he a slasher? And it's been really fun watching your development. How would you put in context, your career and where you started? I remember you playing one-on-one in practice against Juwan Howard. What was that like too?
Yeah, man, coming in, I definitely envisioned my role at the University of Michigan. Obviously, I was a naive freshman coming off averaging however many points my senior year. And then coming to Michigan, I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to be this like super, super naive thinking like, oh yeah, I'm going to be this big scorer, obviously redshirt my first year, and then I'm going to go back to, being a scorer. Figured out that wasn't going to happen. So then I was really just like, what can I do to find my way to the court, and kind of fit in with every team. And I'd say my development really, like, in high school, I could not defend whatsoever. Like, I was an absolute cone. And like, my parents will be the first ones to tell you I could not guard. I cannot guard for the heck of it.
You couldn't guard your mom because she was a pretty good player, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll put it like that. So, my development from the defensive side has been a really big thing for me. And then being able to move without the ball, that was another thing that I was really, had really no knowledge of or experience with coming out of high school. I always had the ball in my hand, as do a lot of high school players that come out. So that was another thing that was a big learning curve for me. That took some time.
What did you learn from Juwan? And do you guys keep in touch at all?
No, yeah, Juwan taught me a lot, man. He taught me, he always talked about like how to be like a pro, how to approach practice, school, kind of like every aspect of your life, and making sure that you're able to manage your basketball life, your social life, your school life. And I think he really just helped me grow up. Having redshirt in my freshman year, I think that was a big time of learning for me, and super fortunate that he allowed me to do that. I think that was probably one of the best decisions I made since coming here. And then just from like the defensive standpoint, I feel like he helped me a lot too. And obviously other coaches helped, but I think he definitely aided in that. And yeah, I mean, we still keep in touch after a big game, or something like that. He'll definitely like shoot me a text, or I'll shoot him a text to see how things are going.
Well, in 5 years, you've played with so many different teammates. And I also think it's kind of interesting when you look back on it, when you walked on campus, you're the only guy left in the entire program. Everybody is gone. I can't imagine what that must be like for you to have to teach the culture, to carry the culture on, the stuff that Beeline had built within this program. What has that been like to see so many guys come and go?
Oh my. It's definitely one of the unfortunate parts about the transfer portal and how the NCAA has set up how college basketball works nowadays. That you're have this ever moving carousel of teammates that are coming in. And obviously, I feel like our staff the last 2 years has done an elite job at getting super high quality guys to come in and make the transition a little bit easier. But it's definitely wild. And to be able to say that I'm the only one from a team 5 years ago is also a little bit wild. I think last year there was only like 3 of us who had been on my freshman year team. So it just shows how ever changing it really is, and the difficulties that come with that for sure.
When you think about all of the guys that you've played with, who's impacted you the most? Maybe there's 2 guys, but who has changed your life and is really special to you?
Man, I would say, I would have to go with like the first guy that I met when I got here, Ian. He's one of my best friends. He was like kind of like the first guy like moving into college. Like you have like that one friend that you kind of just click with, and him and I were together for 4 years. This is our first year that we haven't been together, so that's been a little bit of a new road to navigate without him being here. But him and I were always together for the last 4 years. Oh, by the way, he says hi, Tim. He told me to tell you hi when
Ian, hi too. Thank you.
When I told you I was coming on to talk to you. Yeah, we were just talking the other day about how weird it is. Like I walked up because I heard he was moving in up the street, and I went up to go introduce myself. And from that point on, like we went and got dinner that night, and then like we were kind of inseparable from that point. So I'd say he probably has had the biggest impact on my time here.
We'll talk a little bit more basketball later, but I think that you've got such an interesting story. You grew up on a farm in Minnesota, 160 acres, 35 head of cattle. What was it like for you growing up on a farm, and how did that benefit you, just maybe from being really a grounded person, or I don't know, getting up to milk cows? I don't know what that was like. Did you have your basket nailed to the side of a barn? What was that like for you, Will?
Yeah, I feel like there's no better childhood than growing up outside. And I think that that's what my parents really gave my brothers and I, is just being immersed in being outside. Like my parents poured us like a probably like a half court basketball court right next to our barn, which is awesome. So we spent majority of our summers there. River right next to that, so we go and cool off in the river after we were done shooting hoops. And then out of the farm with my grandpa and my dad, and being able to work with animals, learn the value of hard work. My mom has her garden, which, God, we hate working in that thing, but eating great food. Our family's obsessed with eating great food. We're foodies, we're food snobs. So I'm just super, super fortunate for how I was raised, and it's definitely had like a big impact in how I lead my life now and going forward.
Can you see yourself being back on the farm someday, or have you kind of decided what you want to do with your post-basketball career?
Man, post basketball, I can definitely see myself living on some sort of homestead or farm. Definitely want to be involved in the growing of the food that I eat, but then also I'm kind of looking to like career. I want to like help other people raise and eat good food for them, and something that I'm super passionate about. I'm with regenerative agriculture and helping like small scale farmers be able to like make money while giving people the food that they deserve.
Since you're such a foodie, I think a lot of the listeners/viewers may not know what it's like to have a training table. What kind of
Oh yeah.
food, what kind of food do they provide? How many meals a day? What's a pregame meal look like?
Yeah, pregame meal is pretty simple actually. Our nutritionist Hannah, just like, you don't want to get too crazy right before a game so that you don't have like an upset stomach. But it's usually like some sort of pasta with like a red sauce or pesto with a salad, some sort of bread option, and then like a grilled vegetable with like chicken or salmon. That's like pretty straightforward. I wouldn't say it's anything crazy, but I mean, some of our training tables are pretty good. So yeah, they're enjoyable. We usually have like one meal right after practice. If it's like an afternoon practice, that'll be like dinner. If we have like a morning practice, they'll provide breakfast for us. And then we also have this cool option called Fuel and Blue or Red Card, where they'll like load money for us to spend at like different restaurants around Ann Arbor, which is also a really, really good option.
Good. When you were in high school, you were a phenomenal athlete. You won the state discus championship in track and field. You were a quarterback on the football team. You averaged 33 points a game and were runner-up to Chet Holmgren of OKC for Mr. Basketball. How did you decide to finally choose Michigan, and how did you decide to choose basketball as your sport? It seemed like you had a lot of options.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think Michigan just provided the most holistic experience for me as like just being Will. I think from like the school standpoint, I really wanted to be able to do something in environmental sciences, and they provided a great option for the Earth and Environmental Science program here with my undergrad. And then when I eventually decided to redshirt, like getting my master's was also a very real opportunity, and that provided another great option. And then from the aspect of basketball, just the history that Michigan basketball had, the school itself, it all just kind of made sense for me to come here. But like choosing basketball was definitely like the end of my sophomore year, beginning of junior year was like a really like tough time from a recruiting standpoint. I was getting super worn out from football recruiting and then basketball recruiting, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And eventually I just kind of like was like, all right, I need to make up my mind which one I'm going to do, because I just can't go into a whole nother year having both sides going back and forth. It was just too much, and I ultimately just enjoyed playing basketball more. And I figured like, man, playing football, like you only get 12 real games a year. Like you can't ever replicate, that game. Even like when you're in practice going against teammates, you just can't replicate what a game looks like. But with basketball, obviously you can play 5-on-5 whenever you want. I just, at the end of the day, I just enjoyed playing it more. So that's kind of how I made that decision.
6'8" quarterback would be pretty attractive to a lot of schools. Did you get any offers in football?
Yeah, they were mostly from like the tight end position. They may have said that they wanted me
You
to play
didn't play
quarterback.
tight end, did you?
No, but they saw the frame and they wanted me as a tight end. They may have said that they wanted me to play quarterback, but that is not how it was going to end. So,
Did you have a backup school in basketball? If it wasn't Michigan, who would it have been?
oh man, I honestly couldn't tell you who it would have been. There was a lot of amazing opportunities in schools. My AAU coach actually coaches at St. Thomas in Minnesota. So that would have been a super attractive option just from our relationship standpoint. Being able to go play for him would have been really, really cool. A variety of other Big Ten schools would have been awesome. At the end of the day, it just made the most sense to come here.
Yeah. Michigan's visit must have been pretty darn good. And actually I read that you and your mom drove 600 miles from your home to Ann Arbor. Why did you drive instead of fly? And what was your visit like? Who'd you talk to and what'd they show you?
It's actually funny. I was getting recruited in the middle of COVID. So we couldn't fly because of COVID and we had to drive. And my mom refused to let me commit to a school that I hadn't been to in person. She's like, you need to be able to experience what the drives to and from will be like, realize how far away it is from home, like envision yourself on the campus and downtown, know like what you're getting yourself into. As soon as we had kind of came here, it was right when COVID was kind of lifting up, but visits were still on hold for players. And I'd done a bunch of virtual visits, but had never really seen it in person. And as soon as we were driving on 94, going back west, I knew that could see myself here, and I called Jawan and told him that I was going to come. So yeah, it was pretty quick.
I have to ask you, I read that you're musically gifted too, that you play
Oh
trumpet,
my.
French horn, and also the fact that you were in the marching band. How in the world can you be the quarterback on the football team and be in the marching band?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm so musically gifted anymore. I haven't played in a couple of years, but yeah, I would play Friday nights football, and then we would have to wake up at like 4 a.m. to go drive to marching band competitions. It was definitely quite the experience, but it was great. I have like a lot of my good friends in high school were also in the band. Like my brothers and I were always raised to be well-rounded, and you never know who you might meet or what you might learn from other people. So it was a great experience. My teacher was awesome in band. She was one of my favorite teachers in high school. So super, super great experience with that.
Well, who's somebody that you've met during your 5 years that would surprise me? Like a musician or an actor or an athlete or a politician? Who's somebody that you've
Oh
met?
my. Oh, I've met so many cool people since I've been here. I would say one of like the coolest interactions that I've had since I've been here was meeting Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell was
What?
at one of our practices. It was super low key, and I think I can say it now, but like he wanted to keep it super low key when he came. He was at one of our practices 2 years ago. It would have been Dusty's first year. And he was at one of our practices, and that was like, he's one of my favorite actors. I absolutely love his movies. And so being able to like meet him in person was like mind blown, super, super cool experience.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else? I've got to ask, is there somebody else because you came through strong with the first one?
Man, Derek Jeter's a cool one. Michael Phelps. Um,
Those are good.
yeah, obviously those are ridiculous. Man, those are the ones that are coming to me off the top of my head.
So
Oh,
you
this is a cool one too. We were in Paris on our foreign trip, and Adam Sandler was sitting at the table next to us, and we met him. That was also pretty freaking cool. But
you
yeah,
love basketball. How
yeah,
does
yeah,
someone
yeah. It
slip
was,
down to fourth or fifth? That's
mhm,
got to be number one.
yeah.
You're a serious student, and I'm curious, how do you balance being a student and an athlete, and how have you done academically? I know that you were all A's in high school. I think you got an A minus in Spanish, right?
Yeah, Phil Martelli will be the first one to remind me of that. Every time I talk to him, he'll make a joke about it. But yeah, I did A minus in Spanish.
How did you manage throughout your career, and what did you study? What was your toughest
Mm,
class? What did you get your
man.
degree in?
So got my undergrad in Earth and Environmental Sciences through LS&A here, and I got that in 3 years. So came in with a lot of elective credit from high school because I had taken a lot of college classes, so lucked out, and all I had to take was my core requirements. The academic rigor at Michigan is what you make it. Like, there's obviously options for everyone, and this is just what I was super, super interested in when I knew that I could study environment and sciences. I knew that that's what I needed to do, what I wanted to do. So that was just kind of a no-brainer for me. But immediately off the bat, first semester, I was taking a Calc 1, and got my butt kicked, like got my teeth knocked in. I think I ended with a B-, but it was the first B I had ever gotten, and I thought the world was ending. But then I discovered pass fail, and the remainder of my core requirements that I did not have to do, that I knew were going to be hard, were definitely pass failed, which ended up saving my GPA. I think I ended with like a 3.7 GPA.
Wow.
And then graduated in 3 years. And then grad school has definitely been a different beast. 5 years in, cramming a crap ton of coursework year round in my undergrad. Grad school started to feel a little bit like a marathon. So not to say that I haven't obviously been trying my best, but it's definitely been a little bit more of feeling like I'm having to do work and not like getting to do work. So it's been a little bit different.
You mentioned environmental sciences. Is it true that you know more about beavers than anybody else that I know? Because
My God.
didn't you go to Montana?
Oh yeah. So I did like stream work restoration in Montana on a bison ranch. Was out there.
What exactly is that?
So man, where do I start? I was introduced through a friend at Michigan to this guy named Matt Skoglund, who's one of my close friends now. He runs a regenerative bison ranch in Montana, and they bought all this land that had been previously farmed incorrectly, and the land had been super degraded, and basically their job was to rejuvenate it through running native bison, bringing this ranch back to life. And part of that was they have these spring creeks that run through their ranch. And historically, there had been beavers in the area that are no longer there because of habitat degradation. And so doing like beaver mimicry dams were something that he had kind of wanted to do to help bring back native birds, waterfowl, and amphibians and things like that. And as part of my project, I did like this little beaver mimicry dam that unfortunately got blown out in the spring floods the year after. But it'd been super cool to like see the pictures from like even like that summer and all like the cool waterfowl. I think there was a pair of ducks that had nested in the area, which was super awesome. So it was cool to kind of see that come to life. Learned a ton from him, and to be able to have that experience was incredible.
You do know more about beavers than anybody else I know.
Yeah.
You got that going for you. Uh, I want to talk about something that I'm passionate about and that I love, and that's bass fishing. I hear you're a good bass fisherman.
Yeah, we could talk about that all day, Tim. We could
When's the
talk about
last-
that all day. It's an
did you fi-
addiction.
Did you fish somewhere here, or is it back in Minnesota?
I fish everywhere, man. I fish everywhere. There's like my girlfriend will be the first one to say it. Whenever I walk by a body of water, I'm immediately thinking like, oh man, I wonder what's in there. I wonder if there's bass in there. I actually got a boat this past summer. It's
What
in
do
our
you have?
garage. I have a 17-foot Ranger. It's all souped up with the electronics and everything. And I spent a lot of hours on it this past summer.
Have you
So,
been out on Lake St. Clair?
oh yeah,
What's your
lot of
big
time.
bass?
My big bass on Claire this summer was just over 5. I think it was like 5.1.
Mm-hmm.
Caught a lot of 20-pound bags out on Erie this summer. And then went up north to like the Grand Traverse area.
So this may have changed your decision, but my son Kellen he's a tournament bass fisherman,
Okay.
and when he played basketball at Western and then
Mhm.
at Georgia Tech also. When he was at Western, he was on the bass fishing team also.
Yeah, Western has a good bass fishing team. I'm pretty sure Kevin Van Dam's kids go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have to find a time to go fishing next summer. I would love that.
Absolutely. That'd be
So,
awesome.
what about Austin Davis, former Michigan big man? He's a fisherman too, right?
Yeah, big fisherman. When he was interning for Sandman my freshman year, he put me on some. That was before I had a boat. He put me on some good spots where I could wade fish. And before I had my boat, I was wade fishing and fly fishing for smallmouth in the upper Huron a lot. So have definitely explored to the max, everything that you can fish around here.
Yeah, and you've got the forward-facing sonar and all the things that are NIL benefits, right?
Yeah, something like that.
That's very cool. I'm glad to hear that. It's a great way to get away from basketball and
hmm
have you taken any of your other teammates fishing?
Oh yeah, everyone I lived with has went.
Who's that?
Morez. So I live with Chuck, Harrison, and Oscar. They were with me a lot on the boat this summer, especially Oscar. Oscar actually came back to Minnesota with me when we had our break in August because he's from New Zealand, so he couldn't go home. And we did like the upper Michigan, the UP, northern Minnesota, and then went back down to my home. So it was like we did like a full Midwest tour. We went to Pictured Rocks on my boat and fished out in Lake Superior, and then up at my cabin in northern Minnesota. So yeah, we did the full circle together. And then I fished with Morez, LJ, Winters. So yeah, we've had a good group of guys who have fished.
Of your teammates, who's the best fisherman outside of you?
Oh man, I would say Morez, honestly. Morez caught some big ones this year when we went pond hopping together. So yeah.
Will, I'm curious, what it's like nowadays with social media and with all of the notoriety that athletes get. Do you feel when you walk across campus, when you walk into a class, do you feel like a celebrity? Are people always coming up and asking for autographs or wanting to talk about the team? What's it like to be an athlete at Michigan today?
The program that I've picked from like class wise, I feel like the priority within class work is not sports or athletics. People are there to go to school. So it's kind of like a good escape. Like when I walk into classes, I don't think anyone knows that I'm an athlete whatsoever. And
Huh.
like honestly, that's kind of like how I would like want it to be, I guess. Like kind of like it's kind of like my alter ego. Like I just kind of go into class and I'm there to be in class. I don't want to be treated different because I'm on the basketball team in a good way and a bad way. I don't want people to think I'm dumb because I'm an athlete, but obviously I don't want to be treated any different. So I would say honestly, it's like just being a normal student, just going to class.
Are you able to live the life of a college student? On a Friday night, if you're not doing anything, can you go to a frat party? Can you go to Scapes? Can you,
No, that's where it's different. That's where it's different. Then people definitely um have their antennas up and you have to be on your best behavior.
you figure it out, or do the coaches tell you about that?
I mean, that was one thing that I think Joanne did a really good job of too, like making sure that, you represent Michigan and people have phones and cameras out and they see you and people are, always watching you. You always have an extra set of eyes on you. So you got to make sure that, you're representing yourself well.
Yeah. Oh, every time I see you, you've got some new gear, you know, at the football games in the fall, leaving practice, early in the year. How many shoes do you think that you've gotten over your 5 years? And how many hoodies, how many t-shirts, and where do you put them all? I mean, you need a storage unit or something, wouldn't you?
Yeah. My room back home in Minnesota, my parents had to buy 2 extra shoe racks, like big shoe racks. And I just have boxes on boxes on boxes of Jordans back home. Uh, I'm well into the 50s or 60s
What
of
size shoe do you wear?
I wear like a size 15 or 16. I like to wear size 15 basketball shoes, but size 16 wear around shoes. I like my basketball shoes tight.
Yeah. Don't forget your friend Tim if you're ever looking to get rid of some of those 16s.
I got you,
Uh,
man.
I've got a couple quick hitters I want to ask you. Quick questions, quick answers. What is your favorite hangout spot or favorite restaurant in Ann Arbor?
Ooh, breakfast is Jefferson Market, lunch Monahan's, dinner Dicksboro Project.
Nice. Who's the most talented teammate you've ever played with?
Basketball wise?
Yeah.
Oh man. Shit. Mm, I'd say Danny Wolf, just from strictly like size and ability to like do what he does.
Why'd you select 42?
It was it was the last number available in 7th grade when I was in traveling, and I've had it ever since.
What was it like watching Trey Burke get his number honored or retired?
We were in the locker room when it happened. I couldn't even watch, but I mean, obviously it was super, super cool to, be a part of, that game.
Who would win a matchup head to head in a game, Hunter Dickinson or Adai Mara?
Adai.
Wow. Okay. Why do you say that?
It's just my opinion.
All right. What was the biggest moment of your career?
Man, I'd say probably when, like, my whole basketball career,
Yeah.
man, probably when I committed to Michigan. That was, like, my biggest, like, turning point or, like, decision or moment in my basketball career.
What's the most points you ever scored in a game?
54.
That was in high school, I assume.
Yeah.
Would you rather fish or play basketball?
Oh, man. Depends on the time of year. Winter, 100% hoop, basketball, and then in the summer, if it's, like, a really nice day out and it's not rainy and it's sunny and warm, I'd definitely wanna be fishing.
Which is your biggest Big Ten rival in basketball? Who do you want to beat the most?
Michigan State, 100%.
Why is that?
Just, I just don't like them. And we gotta get 2 wins against them this year.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed our conversation. You're like the Dos Equis commercial with the most interesting man. You've got a lot of really cool stuff in your life. And I've been such a big fan of yours, your energy, your emotion, your passion, your love for Michigan. It comes out every single game. And I just want you to have a great ending to your career and get to a Final Four. So thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you, man.
And for all of our podcast listeners, we're going to break down the Michigan game against Nebraska. I'm going to give you all the game keys, and it's going to be a lot of fun to look at what happened and how Michigan got a victory. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Thanks, Will. Go Blue.
Of course. Thank you, man.
Wow. What a ball game we saw tonight. Michigan takes out Nebraska in what was a classic game. It was a top 5 battle. And don't say, look, Nebraska's not athletic. They're not big. It was a bad win. No. They have beaten so many good teams. They had won 24 straight games. Nebraska is tough, and they may be the best team in the Big Ten. Think about the fact that they're all Big Ten center, rink masked. The guy is an absolute stud. He had the flu and couldn't play. And also Braden Frager, who right now I would say he's the 6th man of the year in the Big Ten. He sprained his ankle pretty bad. He's out. So you take 2 of the top 3 scorers from Nebraska out of the ball game, and the way that they played was phenomenal. I can't tell you how impressed I was. Michigan won the game, but I walked away saying that Nebraska team is darn good. It was really the tale of 2 different halves. First half, very much open flow, pass and cut, shoot threes. Nebraska scored 50 points, and I'm sure that Dusty May was furious with that at halftime. If you give up 50 points in your building to a team that's missing 2 of their top 3 scores, that's not good enough. And so in the second half, Michigan did a much better job. Price Sanford, I think he got worn down. Jamarcus Lawrence, same thing. They shot great in the first half. They couldn't miss. 10 out of 19 from 3. And then in the second half, it was ugly shooting both ways. And Michigan and Nebraska combined for 2 for 26 from 3 in the second half. And that's why you had such a low scoring second half. I talked to Dusty May at Shooter. And by the way, you're probably wondering, why am I wearing a suit? Tonight, I worked for Sirius XM. I called the game on national radio, had a ball. And so I wanted to get this out tonight. That's why I'm wearing my suit. At shoot around, I talked to Dusty May and I said, what's the game key? And he said, first of all, we've got to keep our turnovers low. Oh my gosh, that was embarrassing. Elliot, Cadeau, and LJ Cason, your 2 point guards, combined for 11 turnovers by themselves. If everybody else took care of the ball and had 0 turnovers, 11 is still too much, especially for your point guards. They were throwing the ball around like they did not care, like it didn't matter. That was not good. But I will say the play of the game is when Elliot Cadeau ran down Jamarcus Lawrence, who was going to have a chance to put the team up by 4 right down the stretch, and he came down and stole. That was the play of the game. So turnovers, massively important problem that needs to be corrected. I don't know. They don't have any other options between Cason and Cadeau. I'd love to see those guys sit with some of those passes. As a matter of fact, the one that really bothered me at a really critical time, Cadeau throws a 3/4 court pass to a Mara who's sprinting next to a defender. You can't put your big guys in that position. All right, second key from Dusty May. We've got to be able to knock down threes. It was exactly like Ohio State. Michigan was, I think, 6 of 26. 6 of 26 from 3. Yaxel's 0 for 6. And Burnett was 0 for 5. Those two, your 2 reliable shooters are 0 for 11. And I will tell Yaxis, I'm not going to call you all American or all Big Ten anymore until you start changing the way that you approach. Don't start your game off shooting threes, okay? Your game, versatile defender, star in transition, great offensive rebounder, put the ball on the deck a few times and finish strong. Don't become a 3-point shooter. But really, that's the way Nebraska plays defense. They've always got 2 guys in the paint. If you drive, they will swarm you. They will force turnovers, and then they want you taking threes, and they do an exceptional job of contesting. What else? Credit to Michigan at the free throw line, 19 of 23, and that's plus 16. Nebraska fans are going to say, how come we don't get to go to the line? Well, Michigan went inside, and they were physical, and they were tough, and they earned those free throws. That really won the game for them. Couple of other things. Morez Johnson was a stud. His play in the first half was a tone setter. He's like a bulldozer with tennis shoes on. 17 points, 12 boards, 6 of 7 from the line. He's the player of the game. Also, a lot of credit for Will Tschetter. 7 big points in 15 minutes. He got the Michigan Man interview bump. You know, you come on the podcast, we're going to make sure that you get good vibes going your way. And the beauty of this is that Michigan wants to be a number 1 seed at the end of the year. And they've got all kinds of great wins. But knocking off Nebraska, only 2 other undefeated teams now, that was an eye-opener, and that is going to go a long way. You may say Nebraska's not good. Well, Wisconsin beat Michigan, and Nebraska beat Wisconsin by 30. When I talked to Fred Hoiberg earlier before, I always like to get a perspective from the other team's coaches. And I said, what is the one thing that stands out to you about Michigan? And he said, the number 6 team in the country is Gonzaga, and they're 18-1, and their only one loss was to Michigan by 40. I thought that was a really good answer. And the nice thing now is this sets up the epic battle on Friday night. Michigan goes to Michigan State. I feel really good about that game from the standpoint that I think Michigan State turns the ball over more than anybody in the Big Ten. I don't trust their shooting. They don't have great depth on the front line. And I think it's a better matchup for Michigan than Nebraska was. But we'll talk about that later in the week. Great job, Michigan, finding a way to win without your A game. This may be the way it's going to go all year long, but Michigan with another key victory, and they're marching on. Thanks for joining us on the Go Blue Hoops podcast at Hale Media Network. Just so happy that Michigan finished this off today. Good job. Go Blue.
If you like this kind of content, please like, share, follow, and subscribe. And as always, Go Blue.